and thank you to all of our presenters who have joined this live Q&A session. A special thanks as well to all of our attendees who have given up their time and have logged into this second Q&A of the day. As you all know, the focus of today's agenda, today's presentations, has been around providing updates and insights to all of our agent partners and counsellors, and most importantly, to officially recognise the incredible support that you have continued to provide New Zealand's international education sector during such a challenging time for the entire industry. I will start this session by introducing Jean-Pierre Rousseau-Kung, Manager Education Agents at Education New Zealand Manapo ki te ao. Jen presented earlier and shared a comprehensive update on what ENZ is doing to engage our agent partners across the globe. Kia ora, Jen.
Kia ora, everyone.
Next up, we have Ross Crosson, the Student Experience Manager at Education New Zealand Manapo ki te ao. During his presentation, Ross also provided an overview of the support that has been provided and is continuing to be provided for international students in New Zealand, focusing on national student experience and wellbeing initiatives. Kia ora, Ross.
Kia ora tātou, kia ora Ben.
And last but not least, we have Joy Hotter, Business Development Manager at Education New Zealand Manapo ki te ao, who presented today on New Zealand's regions and what makes them special or particularly unique in comparison to some of New Zealand's larger cities. Kia ora to you as well, Joy.
Kia ora, everyone.
Now, we do have a few questions coming through the Q&A box. For all of the attendees, just a reminder, please do type any questions you have directly into the Q&A box and we'll attempt to answer as many of those as possible. Jen, I'll start on this one with you, please. And the question is, how is ENZ planning to support education agents while borders remain closed for the large majority of our international students?
Thank you, Ben, and kia ora, everyone. That's a very good question. So thank you first for attending this week, full of very interesting sessions. So I hope you enjoyed the recent ones that you had today. So what we are doing for supporting agents, we've been doing a lot last year and this year to support our agent network. And what we're planning to do is to continue on those initiatives we've been delivering over the last year and a half. So it's mainly turning around three main themes. So we've been supporting mainly our recognized agencies through co-funding initiatives with our offshore teams. So we're very keen to support our agents' promotional events and initiatives that they're doing. Also, we want to continue to strengthen the engagement with agents and the relationships we have with agents, as well as recognizing their crucial role for the international education sector. So those are things that we've been doing recently, but we will continue to do, we're planning to continue to do so, as well as doing, whenever possible, some face-to-face events. So some of our offshore teams have started to do some face-to-face events with agents. So we're hoping that this will be more and more possible. So every country and every market works slightly differently depending on the country situation at the moment. But what's very important is that we continue to provide quality and timely communications to agents and make sure that they have all the information they need to best advise students at the moment.
Thanks, Jen. And on those communications, there's a question here. What key messages should agents be delivering to their students while they wait for the borders to reopen? And is there any way that ENZ can help agents to retain their students' interest in New Zealand?
Well, yes, very good question as well. So the New Zealand government, and especially Minister Ipkin, has recently made it clear that international education is extremely important for New Zealand, and that despite the uncertainties at the moment, we are very keen to welcome as soon as it is possible, international students in New Zealand. So I think what's really important for agents is to understand that there are some options at the moment for students to either start their study journey, even if they can't physically come to New Zealand. So there's online programs that are available through various providers in New Zealand, but also you can have a look at our recent partnership with Future Learn. So there are options there. We have also the New Zealand Global Competency Certificate available through various countries, and some face-to-face studies as well are currently available through offshore study locations as part of our pathway initiative. So that's through various, again, markets. But basically, you can contact your representative, ENZ representative in your country if you want to have more information around that. But there are some options, so it's really important for agents to understand that they can still provide some options for students at the moment.
Great, thanks, Jen. It's a good point and a reminder for me. Once this week ends, all of the content will remain on this platform for a further 4 weeks. So please do, for all the attendees joining this session, just a reminder, please do visit the various days, and you can view presentations and live Q&As exactly around the topics that Jen has been discussing around options for students while they remain waiting for the borders. One question here for you, Ross. You touched on this in your presentation, but if you'd like to also highlight this, please. During the pandemic, in which many school students haven't been able to return home, how has ENZ, New Zealand institutions and the government supported them?
Kia ora, Ben, and thank you everybody for having the opportunity to join you today. Very much appreciate that. Yes, it's firstly, I think, very important to recognise and acknowledge this is a very real situation and possibly getting harder as the year progresses. And also acknowledging that whatever is done, it is to better support students. I suppose I'd say 3 things really. Firstly, it's being aware of who are the key points of contact for a student, you know, the school, the education provider, homestay family, homestay provider. We know that these people are working really hard. They have been and continue to sort of support students with a range of initiatives and wrapping around pastoral care support. So those kind of key first points of contact are really important. We know that throughout the pandemic, and again as the year unfolds, multicultural groups, community organisations have done and continue to do a great job. So it's about reaching out and getting an understanding of where you are, the student is, to see what might be available there. Throughout the pandemic, a challenge is what we can do with regard to online resources that also support students who are facing these challenges. So we know that we look to have information that's relevant on Know My NZ, of course, and I've been talking about that in my presentation. And I just give one example of one other agency, but there are so many, Asian Family Services, who have a range of fantastic. So they're there to support what might be happening face to face and are resources that anyone can access. So there's a range of things, but I think acknowledging it and then acknowledging and then being able to come forward and seek support is also really important, Ben.
Question here, which I imagine will be similar support to what's always been offered, but the question asks, how will ENZ support students who start studying online? Oh, sorry, I'm asking the wrong question. I'll scroll down. What support will be provided to the international students once they return to New Zealand?
Absolutely. So I suppose it is really reiterating the things that I have probably touched on presentation about what will be available by us and on Know My NZ through the education providers. I know that it is that the education providers are doing a significant amount welcoming those who are returning through the border exception cohort in. So I suppose the things I would say is that there'll be a lot of will continue to be there, but there may be new initiatives and support to recognise that there'll be a period of adjustment. There'll be a period of settling back in and connecting with study communities, old friends, hopefully. So, yeah.
Thank you, Ross. Just noting there are a few questions coming through on student visa policies, timings of borders. What we will say, you would have seen recent announcements. What we are advising to please visit the Immigration New Zealand website. They've also delivered a pre-recorded session today, so please do view that session and check their website. You'll receive all the latest updates from that platform. Okay, Jen. Joy, over to you. During your presentation, you were joined by a number of our regional partners in New Zealand. There's a question here: how has each New Zealand region worked with Education New Zealand to promote their offerings to international partners, particularly our agents?
For the question, it's a very good question. We see our regional partners as an extension of New Zealand, Education New Zealand, in all corners of the country, really, and they. Because they sit in each regions of New Zealand, they act as a coordinator. They work with all the providers in that region and help them to promote their offering in a collective manner. So the regional coordinators also work quite closely with the agents. I mean, a recent example is that we held a mini NZT agent fair up here in Auckland, and we have worked with the regions to connect through to the regional providers and get them to come up here in Auckland to talk to our agents and show them the unique offers in each regions and also when you work with the regional coordinators, not only can they tell you about the academic offers, they can also give you that unique taste of each region. So, I mean, every region is quite different, as we mentioned in the presentation, that it's the culture, it's the landscape, and it's in each region sometimes have very unique academic offering. Like Hawke's Bay, they have wine studies, which is quite unique to New Zealand and to the region. So I mean, they do work really closely with providers and agents and with our offshore colleagues at ENZ as well.
Great. Kia ora, Joy. There are a couple of other questions here around how ENZ will support students who start studying online in their home country. Another couple of comments around more interest in partnering with New Zealand and New Zealand institutions. What I would say, and just to emphasise again, yesterday Education New Zealand hosted a session on the diversification of our education products and services, very much focused on studying with New Zealand as opposed to studying in New Zealand. It's been a little bit of a change in direction for Education New Zealand. I'd highly recommend you to view that recorded session delivered by John Laxon and Ewan Howden. You'll find all your answers to those questions through that presentation. I'll just scroll through a few more. Again, there's a couple of questions around visas. Again, please do visit the Immigration New Zealand website and view Celia's recorded session on the platform. We do have about a minute left. Ross, I'm just going to ask you one further question, if we can. Obviously, we've talked a lot about the support for students currently in New Zealand. Are you able to quickly give an overview of the support that's been also provided for the students who have had to return home temporarily?
Absolutely, and I hope you can hear me. Very mindful of those who are studying. We know that providers have been doing a considerable amount in terms of initiatives to kind of peer-to-peer programs, online check-ins and what have you. Going on there, challenge Education New Zealand to understand, and we actually survey our international student experience survey that has just closed for this year. That's an area we're absolutely looking in because we want to better understand it and see what we can do. Of course, there is always the challenge of knowing what is being done, but actually for students to be aware of that. So I'm always encouraging students to maintain contact with their education provider. The countdown's on. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ross. Thank you, Joy. Thank you, Jen. And again, thank you to all of the attendees for logging in. Kia ora.